Yes, running nose, sweating, everything is contrary to our talk. But this is how we go. So, not to forget our vision and mission about this program. 1 year with Jenny and with the support of all other friends, we will be able to create a communication model which works across generations, pinpoints the spatial problems, issues, and how to resolve them across generations. So if anyone has resolved any issue of communication, if the age gap of 10 to 12 years, then first we are inviting the person to share his abilities and communication skills and enlighten us with the real experience. No? Here, today we choose the topic. If your child is extraordinary and how you will recognize it. Child could also be mentally retarded, like less mind, or could be very highly evolved mind. So to recognize the talent and if you have resolved. So let's see if you have met any extraordinary children, maybe yours or maybe neighbors, and how you come to communicate with them. Because these children are scientists, enlightened people, they are changing. They are changing, bring a change in the society. So let's see a little bit AI support to recognize these children. And the best recognition is if you cannot comprehend with a creative IQ, abstract thinking, the best is to know by developments of neurons and nervous system and muscle system. So you will see whether your child shows this or other child you have met in your life, just to see a little bit. Here we are. So general characteristics gifted children in educational psychology, we are looking. They are creative. Sometimes they show exceptional memory and particularly long-term memory. Because short-term memory, hyperactive children can also have, and they forget very fast. This is not the 100%, but just to have a general idea. Emotional and social, creative. Yeah, children with photographic memory are very special. We call it addictive memory. Like they can see and they can remember the whole thing in photograph. And they show extreme empathy, emotional intelligence. Mastery in a field far beyond HPS. Their learning is faster, intense focus on narrow interest. So they might be like very smart in one area and could be very stupid in another area. So just to have a look what we are talking about, this kind of children, if you have come across in your child, they are very difficult to handle. So if they are properly handled and properly understood, they are a gift to the society. And if they are misunderstood or not properly handled and recognize their intelligence, it becomes destructive. So they try to show their talent in a revenge way to the society, and they become system breaker. Why I'm saying this? Because when I was young and started study psychology in the book, and then I started to see, because I finished my school 10th before 13 year of age, very fast. Before 16 and 19, I was done with college, finished, study done. And development, they say that you start to walk early, like walking early, like 9 months, the child will start to walk. Neurons developments are fast. nervous system's development are a little bit early. This is the main sign of aversion of crowded, noisy places, deep connection with nature or animals. They are showing all positive, but they can turn negative. So these are the qualities. The most is early cognitive development. So if you see any child showing signs walking before 2 months or cognitive developments are early, the child is extraordinary. And he will ask you very strange questions and he can report you in spiritual experiences. Indian, these are Carl Jung, some important psychologists. Here, Carl Jung is using ESP-like abilities are described as archetypal or part of the collective. And Jung is working in a different way. I am using his work in reparenting and rebirthing in a very different way. Gifted children often skip stages. No, uh, like studying in 3, skip the 4, go to 5. And mystical perspective, yes, someone can remember the past lives, and some were born with this. What I am missing here is describe. Yeah, that's what you see. Everything is faster, a little bit early than before. So by physiology also they can be recognized. Brain plasticity is their main thing. Higher brain plasticity of the gifted children. So this way you can recognize, if I was showing you that you can go and remember in your mind, if you have met this kind of children in your life, and yeah, it's enough information for you to recognize a gifted child. So this is our topic today. No? If you have met this kind, I am already a gifted child because all things matches. When I started studying psychology by my own, nobody was there to guide me. So just by textbooks and reading, I started to diagnose myself. How is the development? So here, Jenny, you are. You have met so many children across experience of 3 generations. And now I give to you what communication conflict you come if you meet this kind of children and how you resolve if any conflict or come in harmony with the child and was able to lead the child.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing is honesty. I mean, when they get to that age, is to be honest about everything. because when you're honest, they can feel it. They feel everything. And my son has two boys that are, and one's just like he was, just busy, athletic. Uh, his mind is going all the time, photographic. And when he's being naughty, I've told my son, he's doing that because he wants your attention. So these children, when they're acting out, it's because they're bored and they need direction. So I said, go give him 5, 10 minutes of your time and he'll be fine. So he took him and he started wrestling him. And after that, he was fine. So I think it's boredom is a lot of it, or environmental. I have a story about actually my son Dylan was like that when he was young. And he was into everything. He was being naughty. So what I did was get him involved in music. Well, actually, when he was little, I would play my grand piano in the middle of the night because I had 4 children. And when they'd go to bed, that's when I'd stay up and do my art. So I'd go out and I'd be playing the piano. And when I'd get done, he'd be sleeping under my piano and I'd have to carry him to bed. Well, as he got into school, he got into the string bass. And then he had a trauma where when he was walking home from school one day, a Corvette drove up and he was with his friend and said, get in the car. And they both looked at each other and they took off running. And he got home and he was so traumatized, he wouldn't even go out of the house. And so I'd have to take him to school, walk him into school, and then he went to counseling. I put him in counseling because the first thing he would do would go out and play in the yard. So I saw that this was so devastating to him that I ordered him this $100 electric guitar and amp. And he took it and he started playing it every night, besides going outside a little bit. And the music was already inside of him because it was stimulated. And my other son, I played Bach and Mozart. I think music is very calming for those type of minds. Anyway, now my son Dylan is doing documentaries. He's a director and producer. He's produced 2 documentaries. But also, I wanted to go back to this. I had a TV show for about 15 years while they were growing up, and I made them come down and do the camera. And so I involved them into directing them into photography and just new environments constantly. So that
Mhm.
helps the boredom of the mind.
I think I have met your son and daughter once.
Oh, that was Bliss and Phoenix.
Ah, okay, okay,
You never met Dylan. Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll have to pull up his documentaries. He's pretty brilliant. He was up for an Emmy recently, and he's only
Mm-hmm.
put out 2 documentaries. But I think music really has an effect on the brain too at a very young age, and calming. And I've also found when I was raising my grandson till he was 4, every night that I would rock him, I would sing the same tune to him. And so when he got older and he was acting out, I would start singing that tune and it would calm him right down because it goes into the subconscious mind. So I've learned a lot. My children have been my greatest teachers.
One
Um,
thing I would like to ask you: the
yeah.
issue arises in extraordinarily gifted children in socialization. They don't come in harmony. They don't have a lot of friends
Hmm.
because they cannot communicate. People don't understand them. They show extraordinary curiosity, extraordinary behaviors, which is sometimes very irritating for the normal person. They can irritate you with their curiosity, and like they are very empathetic, but they can be apathetic, completely alone. withdrawn, and having less friends. Have you come this kind of situation arising in your children?
Well, and in my children and with me also, chit chat is pretty difficult for me to be around, or people talking about all their illnesses and feeding that energy. And with the children, they seem to magnetize to the people they can resonate with.
Mhm.
But the thing that's really cool about my kids that I really wanted to implement into them was the love. And I see my sons tell their friends, love ya, and they hug each other. They aren't afraid to touch, they aren't afraid to say, I love you, because all their life, that's what I did. I hugged and loved. I had a father that was German, and he was not a touching person. And I remember going, I was an exchange student in high school. When I went to Europe and came back, over in Europe, they're very touching. You walk down the streets hand in hand. So when I saw my father at the airport, I went up and I gave him a hug, and he was like a rock. So I decided I wanted that from him. So I started hugging him all the time and telling him I loved him. And as he got older, if I forgot to say it, he'd say it or he'd give me a hug. So we have to create what we want. And that's what I believe with children. As a parent, we guide them, and it's really important how we guide them on love, touching. We need to exchange energy, but they also choose the people they resonate with.
Yeah, but while I am listening you that these children, you cannot lie because they can see the truth.
Yes.
Any parent cannot hide the truth from their own children. So these parents must understand that they cannot pretend to be somebody else with their own children. This is the first fundamental to develop communication, because the moment they notice that you are not truthful, anything you say, they will not harmonize. So in educating children, yes, this is the main thing, to be honest, fully honest with your knowledge, with your sensitivity, with your things, and resonate. So you see, in child rearing practices or leading the child, we have a theory of pacing and leading. Pacing, no? Like you do the same as child is doing. So you follow the child, imitate the child. Once you start to imitate the child will be in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to control the child, the resonance will not happen. It already, and you are coming with a preconceived ideas, they can notice immediately, and there will be no communication. So this idea of pacing and leading has been used by many leaders. They lead the country, they lead a nation, or even leading, it's a leadership quality. So we, the child is extraordinary, but still we can give a direction.
Bless
And
you.
which pacing and leading. So what do parents? The parents do mistake that they start to lead. They think they know better, they know the world, they are more experienced, more knowledgeable, so they can lead the child. And expectation is child must follow my lead, must take my lead. So when I was doing training, leadership training, this through this we remove trauma. Many traumas, like any traumas happen in childhood with death or with rape or anything, loss, emotional loss. This was the technique we used. You take the person in hypnosis. There, you ask the person as a child to lead you, not to you lead the child. So
Mm-hmm.
once you ask the child to you lead, I follow. The child relaxes, and you can have a resonance. Once you come in a harmony, then you can lead.
Very good.
Then, then you can show the direction. If you directly try to show the direction, no child will take. So pacing and leading, also very nice leadership qualities. I can share. You can read about it. Educational psychology. Pacing and this is also leadership quality. In the great leaders, you will find pacing and leading. I was trained in a neuro linguistic programming, so I we started using this many ways in therapy and trauma release. This is the I learned it in NLP. So you can read a little bit. Leading in learning. Relearn it leadership training. I did training for 1 month in leadership. Yes, this is the way you should lead the children. This is how we are teaching. I know math can be confusing sometimes. No? Like your child solving the math and he is not able to solve this mathematics. And you come directly to lead them. Not like this. I tell you 10 times that this, not like this way, in authoritative way. But this is not pacing. Pacing is you connect to the emotion of the child. Yes, I know math can be confusing sometimes. Not even passing the idea that math is a difficult thing. But your learning is a difficult thing, which I found in many, even Western. I would like to remind you, American style. Here is a mistake because whenever I attended workshops or retreats or training based on American style, whatever they teach, they always try to show this is the very difficult thing. The most difficult thing I am teaching you, and this is very difficult to get it, but still I am making you so easy that you understand it. This doesn't work. Rather, you come to the same platform of the child struggling to solve math. And you say, I know math can be confusing sometimes. Let's try a fun method that makes it easier. This is leading. First, you agree with the child in the state he is, with the mind he is, and then after you try, but always try a fun way. And this leadership we used, yeah, but when I did other trainings, they don't use this. Like I did Gurdjieff training. So if you get tired, no one, leader is not come to support you. They say this tiredness is your just mental imagination. Go for it. Military training, they don't take these things in leadership, in military. But in human psychology, we use in families matters and in school and coaching. No? In coaching, the same things are used, matching client's tone and body language, and gradually shifting towards optimistic framing. In coaching, you are framing the mind. And in leadership and in teaching. So same pacing and leading you can use in teaching, in leadership, and in coaching. Use differently with different styles. Well, you can go for something. Eastern perspective. Yeah, we use the same way. Some students coming and we pace, try to see what is the capability of the person, how fast, how slow, understanding, how fast, how slow, and according to that we improvise. Very simple, pacing and living. I love this concept when I was trained and I used it and I'm using it all the time in all the three education, coaching, and leadership. I love this idea. So we can give one more session based on this. I'm just giving you the idea to 1 week to think more about it. Do some live experiments, see about recognize children, average, high, or little bit retarded, no? Like slow learn. Basically, we can see physically in neurons. And one is he will be very smart in one area and completely stupid in something else. Like social intelligence, emotional intelligence. There are many intelligence there. In some area, maybe in social, he is zero. And in mathematics, he is genius. So this is how also bringing balance, learning that trusting, truthfulness will bring the trust. And once the trust arises, there will be resonance and then leading playfully. Then it's just a play. Teaching children is a play. So here we have Pavel and Masuryaji, some three active listeners here. If they would like to contribute something,
Are you?
Pavel is there. So if you can give some live example with your experience, or if you have recognized this in your own child.
Uh, Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
For me, I realized that the teaching and education is the process of both sides, and sometimes it's very important to understand who is the teacher, because from my medical perspective, there is a joke. Who is the doctor in a psychiatric hospital? The doctor is the first to take a robe, a doctor's dress. And he became a doctor. The first person to take a robe became a doctor. So I think this kind of children, they are the teachers for their parents. And the teaching in this case is focused on observing their behavior, observing, and I like your idea to create a resonance. And I also like the idea of Jenny about the hugging, because
Oh, yes.
hugging is the best to make a resonance. I mean, it's emotional resonance of touch, and even common breathing. Common breathing is also it's create resonance, like common pranayama, breathing together. It's create. And I also like the idea of the goal of education is not to give knowledge, is to make person remind the knowledge, because in our brain there is knowledge of everything. We should also only It's like guru. You put the light and the person realized something that is already inside. It's like in music. There is my friend who playing gong. Gong is a big piece of metal, and inside of this piece of metal there is any kind of sound, any. But only a good master can extract special sounds from the from this kind any any instrument. Because the violin usually have this three lines, but if the master like Paganini, if he can play in one line the whole symphony, and so I think that this kind of kids, they are the teachers. They are not the students. They came here to teach their parents.
Very
And
nice, Pavel. Very nice. This is
and
also
the
good idea.
resonance, music, and sound feeling, and the breathing is the core practices. Thank you.
It's also good. One pranayama, everybody following, one sound, everybody following. And also I like this good idea. If you want to teach the child, ask the child to teach you something. So this can be also play, you teach me, I teach you. Reciprocal way can be made a game of pacing and leading. But this idea also I like. Teaching me
And
and teaching you.
and
Like this.
also parents sometimes they put their ego very high, and from the high position they try to lead kids. No, to change that, to realize that the kids are the teachers, then it's move the ego the same level, and then the process of uh, because it's the child, the parent, and the God. All of three of them is it's like a feeling. The doctor is very strict. If the doctor thinks that he is healing, no, the God is healing, and the same with education. We should be very relaxed to understand that it's not you are teaching; it's the God is teaching.
It's also a good idea because when we say like with the child, you say, I am the boss and you are the child. So in this relationship, also it disturbs.
Thank you.
I have something I wanted to share. I remember when Phoenix was little, he came out and he said, Mom, I'm really sick. He, gotten sick in the bathroom. And I said, so why don't you go play the piano? He goes, okay. So he sat down and played the piano for a while. And then he said, I'm not sick anymore, Mom. And I said, well, great. So sound frequency actually affects the physiology of the body, or was it that his mind said, this will heal me, and it healed him? I mean, I'm not really sure, but he took care of it by playing the piano. Maybe he took his focus off of it. You know what I mean? What we focus on today. So I'm
We should also know that the child is auditory, or child is kinesthetic, or child is visual. If child is auditory, he will love to listen piano. If child is not auditory, kinesthetic, he would like to just hug. All communication by touch. And if child is visual, he doesn't like to sit in the house. He will say, chalo outside, let's go in outside. So you can always teach him, the visual child, showing new things.
Yes.
So that's how we also need to recognize how the learning. But here I'm also liking our idea that rather than coming from the top, like this, I know that this is good for you and you must follow it. Rather than also thinking that you are not somebody knowledge giver, but you are a channel in a way, and knowledge is descending between the play. Same way we are taught as a guru and disciple. So when you become a guru or a teacher and you start to teach disciples, you never say that I am a guru. You say I am a disciple. Each student is there to bring out something new from you. In that way, you never impose on the disciple as somebody you have given a lot and they are incapable of giving you back, which is one of the drawback in the spiritual field. That say, I have given you something, you can't pay it back. Debt is too much. From mother to child, also they say debt is too much. You can't repay back your mother what she did for you. Same it is said in the Guru. But we are taught that never like this. If you think you are a guru, actually the disciple comes, and because of the disciple, they are bringing out something new knowledge, and you are channeling. So disciple is also a guru. Child is also a father. Child is the father of the man. Disciple is also guru, but differently, and you need to recognize. So in that way, we don't develop egoistic attitudes and the burden of debt. So our shoulders are free, no frozen shoulders. This true psychology will bring frozen shoulder. You can't move your shoulder if you have this psychology. Putting a burden of you or taking a burden from somebody else on the shoulders. So this comes on the shoulder blades. Nice talking, and that's how I'm collecting. My idea is to develop a HR manager. So just put, instead of hiring an HR manager, you take this robo, and that's he will be doing everything in the organization. Resolving any conflict of communication, making it fast. Yes, Pamela.
I have something I'd like to share. I think that as a parent, it's really important to, well, with me, I usually use my intuition because I believe if I premeditate it, that's my ego. If it just comes out of me, it's the flow. So it doesn't pertain to children, but I want to say this anyway. So I had met a woman. I'd done some counseling, and I'm not sure if I talked about this on this show, but she had her daughter with her. And like 10 years later, I was at Best Buy, and this woman came up pregnant with her husband and said, "Is my baby going to be okay?" And so I just put my hand on her tummy and I said, "Oh, hon, your baby's fine." And so I gave her a hug. So then down the road, probably a couple months, this woman on the street comes running up to me and grabs me. And she said, "Thanks for healing the baby." And I said, I didn't even recognize her. She said, "My daughter met you at Best Buy." And she said they had done an amniocentesis and the baby was Down syndrome. But after she met you, when the baby was born, the baby was normal. And I said, "I didn't heal the baby." I said, "She believed me and she healed the baby." So what we say to our children is powerful, or we say to anyone. And I found this multiple times in healing, is that if they believe you, if we believe them, we create it. Doctors, they say you have 2 weeks to live. People die in 2 weeks. So our words are really powerful, even with our children.
Yes, Pamela.
I want to ask about the measurement because you mentioned a few times smart and stupid, correct, not correct. Is it any
Yeah, yeah.
scale of measurement about this uh, educational progress, or this child is special in some rate, and this is not special
Yeah,
in
we
some
can
rate?
measure everything no? Here in cognitive psychology. We can measure everything: emotional analysis, temperament. We can measure that if the perception, like I'm new NLP style. So we have five senses. With these five senses, we are making a map of the world. This is the theory. of NLP, how it functions, that with our five senses, we are interacting with the world, and we have a map of the world in our brain. And this map which have in our brain, we are navigating through. So creating this map, maybe five senses. So one sense might have 40%, another might have 30%, another 5%. So this we can measure by asking questions, making you sit on the chair. There are questionnaires you can easily see. Maybe I show you. You can find from we can find questionnaire for all. That here questionnaire for let's see. It is yes. So here you can find a lot of questions. No, this is just an example. I have also which I use, and you can find out from psychological research papers, schools. They are giving 5, but we can have 50. Same like you diagnose Kapha Pitta Vata in Ayurveda. So this way you can measure and you can easily see which area your child is like small, or you, even you are mapping the world, which one for you is strong. So they are giving this much. Just for example, you can have hundreds of questions until you come. And I can also do it online.
But is it an idea of ideal composition, or is it any idea of harmonized
No,
composition
there
of
is no
this?
ideal composition. We admire the variety, and variety is because different proportions there. So you cannot come to an ideal way that this is the perfect. Only thing, you have a strong point and weak point.
And I think very important to find the places of conflict, places where there is no conflict, they are okay. But if there are conflict between this child and the school, child and parent, child and society, in this conflict points, we can see the breaks, the problem, and we can harmonize this problem.
I have a great example of that.
Okay, Jenny.
I have a great example. So when Phoenix was in kindergarten, or Dylan, he could sight read. He got into first grade and he had a teacher that was older, and I think she was just burned out on being a teacher. Anyway, because even when he was an infant, he would curl my hair like this, even as a very small child. Anyway, in school, when he started doing that, the teacher made fun of him, and she actually threatened him with a beret in his hair, which I didn't know about. And she actually hung him on the coat rack at one point. So he came out of school one day and he started kicking the dash and he started screaming. And I said, "What is going on?" So I took him out and sat him down. I go, "Talk to me. What's going on?" And then he told me what his teacher did. Well, they had a meeting because they thought he was special ed because he wasn't reading. And they brought in the teacher from kindergarten. She said, "You're not talking about the same child I am." She said he was sight reading in kindergarten, but because the teacher was abusive to him, he wouldn't do anything. And so what I did was, for one thing, I confronted his teacher, and then I took him out of the school. I literally removed him from the school and put him in a different school. And thank God, when he got to that school, he got a teacher that knew, that was, I would call angelic, because when he'd be naughty or something, she'd say, "Dylan, will you just lay your head down for a little bit until you're ready to get up and join the class?" and it completely changed him. He accelerated in school. It was just amazing. So sometimes we need to remove them from environments like that.
Yeah, sometimes environment is poisonous or something. The most challenging is sending them in school where they are not having proper attention, but a common treatment for everyone. And they feel very bored and withdrawn.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
here we
started.
are.
But
Go ahead.
I would
I
say
think
please do some more research, some brainstorming with AI, with all this idea, and we come up, try to find out each conflict, and we are interested which you resolved it, not that which you did not resolve.
But I also now I remember that the most important asana in yoga, it's shavasana. Maybe it should be also the most important part of education.
Yeah, but very difficult to teach children savasana is the most difficult task.
Shavasana. I mean
Yeah, savasana to
the
children is the most difficult task for children. You can make them run easily, but make them at one place and lying in one position is very difficult.
Can you explain Shavasana or whatever it is you're saying?
Savasana means dead corpse. The pose
What?
of a dead corpse, dead body,
Okay.
lying like a dead body. You lie
total
down as if you
relaxation.
are dead and nothing moving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That is the
It's
most
in the moment. And this is the most important asana in yoga. It's
They say this is the most difficult. If you can master this, you will have access to all esoteric knowledge through that. If you can master only one asana, and that is savasana, highest knowledge descends. Just
So are you saying you have a near-death experience?
no, you just lie like a dead body. You are already dead. This is
Ah,
it. This is it. It
that
says
sounds
just
pretty easy to me.
yeah. If you try, it's the most difficult. All that's what I'm saying. For children to teach this will be most difficult. Other
Oh,
movements,
I bet.
complex movements, easy to learn. More complex movements, easier to learn. But very simple, very simple. Do nothing. That's the most difficult.
yeah.
Thing. Oh, I like
It's
that.
like a vipassana. Vipassana is also non-doing practice. Do nothing. Do zero. It's the most difficult thing because in that case you should step out from your body and you became a witness.
Yes.
Anyway, if you can make them run and make them tired, yes, they will come to this pose for a while.
No collapse.
So we
Well,
say,
Yes.
yeah,
I just wanted to leave with one thing before we're done. Um, I've always felt that everyone is genius because just because a lion can't fly like a bird doesn't mean that he's any less than a bird. So what I try to do is to see the genius in each person and visualize that so that you can bring it out.
that's also a very good idea, Jen, that whenever we talk to a person has hundreds of personality and characters.
True.
So before you relate to the person, you must be very clear where you are relating to.
Yes.
So every child by law must have a genius in some direction. But if you can pinpoint his genius and you can talk to them, only thing if you always trying to connect with geniusness, may not, he will have to, I mean, there may develop a tendency in the child to ignore the weak points.
Mm-hmm.
That's the drawback. So in one way, we relate to the genius, but also we should find a very friendly, creative way to point towards the weaknesses
Yes.
without
Yeah.
letting the person freak out.
Right.
Not like you say directly to your wife, not that, but find a creative way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say directly, weak point, person will freak out. Anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's a communicating in such a way, relating to the strength of the person, of the child, and also slowly reminding him in a very friendly, creative way of the weak points and motivating them that you can transform your weakness into strength and supporting them into that.
Yes.
That's the leading part. This is pacing part. You connect with the genius, you harmonize, you pace. But only pacing, then the child will miss the negative side and ignoring the negative qualities.
Right.
So in leading way, also reminding a little bit of, and at the same time showing how to transform this weakness into strength and also trusting them. Yes, you can do it.
You know, I found as a grandparent, I can do that easier with my grandchildren than it is with your own children.
Yeah, because with
I
our
found,
own children,
yeah,
we have a lot of expectations, and
yeah.
there with their grandchildren, you don't have any expectation.
And you can see the flaws easier. You just, yeah.
That's the point. So that's how you come, and they notice immediately this person has just fun, no expectations. So very easy. If grandparents can teach their children best because they are fully matured, crux of, and if they should be also creative, learning a little bit about psychology and children and how to educate them, the best teaching can come to children from grandparents because there they can sense somebody can love me without expectation. With own children, always you give 10, they are always expecting 20. With
That,
grandchildren, not that. So it's a very, that's why I came to the idea, education across generations, and yeah, it's very different. The children
And
learn
I,
mostly from grand or similar, a little bit ahead, just 1 year, one class ahead than him, or two class. They learn in two-way best, fully open to learn.
and I also read one story about the Sufis. They treat their grandkids like their like reincarnation of their grandparents. So the young boy, 4 years old, came to his grandfather, and grandfather treat him like reincarnation of his grandfather. So the grandfather start kissing the foot of this 4 years old kid because he believed that this kid is reincarnation, rebirth of his grandfather. So it's and there is the tradition in many countries that the kids are getting names out of grandparents, the same name like a grandparent. So it's also create this reincarnation strategy.
cool.
Very nice. And nice opening in which direction we want to go and invite people who have. So you see how many methods, diagnosis, things coming out. My idea is to create a robo for that. Like we are alive. And one robo which is having all this quality of all of us.
I love it.
For the future generation, because this is how the teaching is going to be in the future. Human will be less, and even human is teaching, he's teaching with assistance of a robot. Look, we are teaching with assistance of AI, no? In a way. So for me, so easy. Otherwise, this 1 hour class would have taken 1 month for me to make you introduced to this all the ideas and then talk about. It's so easy for me to teach this AI, all these AIs. So easy. Type few words, concepts there. You don't have to write it. It's there, and then making life very easy. Technology. That's why in the future it will be a little bit different. So I'm coding on the patterns of Eastern psychology, not in a Western way, but Eastern way, how East sees the mind, how the
Mhm.
mind is developing. So I am programming in a different way, coding, and also linked with this, plugged in with the technology, but having our own way of judgment.
Don't you feel that in meditation, everything's floating in the universe and you can reach up and grab all that information?
For sure, it depends on intensity zone of time where you are and which
Hmm.
place to whom you are channeling.
Hmm.
You can download any information.
Yeah, that's where I've gotten most of my information. But
Something
that's
which
great.
which we don't know, and we know. So from where? Something which we don't know. It's beyond. So just be open, meditate, and be open to that channeling.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay, so I say to you, thank you again. Next time, be prepared in this direction, generation gap. Yeah, and also remember, if you have noticed child learning from immediate, like 1 or 2 year gap, they
Hmm.
learn best. So
Hmm.
if you have noticed surrounding, please take this. So parent to child, grandparent to child, and peers group to child, like little bit ahead.
Right.
Three-way, we say how education can work. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming, and see you next Wednesday, same time.